Things I remember about Ted Strong. I worked at Strong Enterprises for about 2.5 years in 2006. And I was the marketing director, and I would take care of the website. I would make sure that everything was working, and I would print brochures, design them, take pictures, and whatever. Um, my position was not so central to the whole operation, so I had the chance to kind of stand in the background and see what was going on with the whole operation, and Ted was definitely um, involved there, and he would be an extremely interesting person to know. In the morning, he would come in. He wasn't an early arriver, but he would arrive around 9 o'clock, and he would always wear his blue backpack. That was his backpack, and he would leave the backpack in the front room on a chair. He first thing he would do, he would just go around and look at what was going on. Um, I remember seeing that. If you saw that backpack and where the receptionist was, it meant he was in. He would drive this really, really old car. It was like a 1998 minivan Plymouth, white and pretty rusty. Inside it was all messy. There was all sorts of things inside. Um, and there was he would have his own spot in front of the facility. That was his, and we knew that nobody was supposed to park there because if Ted comes, then that's his spot, and he wants it. Um, Many times you would know that Ted was in because you would see an open salad on a table. Many times walking through the conference room, we would find an open container with salad inside. That's him, and he would eat his salad. But he was such a busy man, he would just start eating, and for lunch. And all of a sudden, there's a phone call, or there's a fire, or whatever, and he would have to run. Many, many times I remember that container somewhere, and you knew that he was having lunch there. Um, Another thing that I remember very distinctly is that he didn't have his own office. His office was shared with other two people, sometimes three. And he would like that. He didn't want to have his own office, and he had his own desk in a corner, and the desk was piles and piles and piles of paper, and he would have a little tiny space in between these papers for his computer, and that's where he would put his computer and plug it in, and he would do his work. Many times I would find him on the phone. He used to do this on the phone and then have the phone here and talk and talk and talk for hours, especially when we had, he was trying to deal this contract with the Egyptian government, and many, many times I heard him, he would stay hours on the phone with the Egyptians, and he would just pick up the phone and say, "Sharif, how you doing?" and just call the guys and listen to them, because this is how you do business with them. And he knew that this is how you do business with them. You have to listen, you have to talk, you have to laugh, you have to make them laugh. They're going to feel fine, and eventually they're going to buy stuff. And they did. Downstairs, another thing about desks, he loved to use other people's desks. He would walk around, and you could find it at your desk, sitting, talking on the phone. And you are out of luck, because he would take your desk and he would leave, but you will have to give him some time, at least to finish the phone call. He would have his own personal parachute museum, that's how I call it. And what it was, basically, it's he would collect parachutes, old parachutes from other countries or other governments. I think he had a Russian one, like from 1950 something. There was a Korean one from 1940, 50, I don't know. There was probably 10, 15 of them. I also remember that one time he was very pro American American made products. He would not allow us to use anything that wasn't American made. In fact, one time we were just checking out some displays that we were supposed to use, and at some point we found a perfect display, and we were like, "Oh, great! We're gonna use this." And he comes over and he says, "Where's this made?" And we're like, "We don't know. Does it really matter? Where is it made?" And he found out it was made in China, like everything else. And he said, "No. I just want made in America stuff." And unfortunately, we had to we had to do something else because made in China wasn't allowed at Strong Enterprises. I remember him kind of losing grip on some operations of the company at some point. And he would say, "I don't know what these people are doing. I just come here and nobody tells me anything, and I don't know what that guy's working on or that guy's working on." So we started to use these clipboards, and we would just hang a clipboard behind us, and we would write what we were working on. So when he would just walk around, he could read on the clipboard what I was working on, and ask me questions about it, and see if there was a way to improve it or whatever. That was the clipboard thing. We used to have a food truck that will come every morning around 10:30, 11ish, and he would honk twice. And Ted will always get a veggie burrito, I remember. And it was on a plate, it was cut in half. And he would have this burrito on a plate, and he would always get that. And he would go down, and he would buy stuff for people. He loved his employees. I remember he loved his ladies. He had at some point I think he had almost 100 employees. And he would buy stuff from at least a couple of them. I know that he would definitely do that. He was a very healthy guy. I know that he lived on a lake, and he loved to swim. And I was told he would swim every morning. I don't know if this is true. If it's true, then he was definitely not afraid of the alligators. And then at some point, I remember him, he was very concerned about health, and I remember him bringing these boxes and boxes and boxes of something that's called aloe vera. It's basically a liquid. It's something you drink and it's supposed to make you feel better. It's a cactus, basically. He was vegetarian, but there's a funny story. One time they used to go on trips. And one time they came back from this trip, and Ted will drive a truck back from this trip. And the guys were cleaning the truck. They were just taking stuff out of the truck, and they found a box of Kentucky Fried Chicken inside under the dashboard. So evidently somebody had Kentucky Fried Chicken on the road. So that was him being vegetarian. I know that he was a restless kid. He ran away from home a couple of times, and I know he worked for his father. He would work as an elevator operator in either way a building that his father was working in, or his father owned, or whatever. But his life was definitely worth remembering. It's really too bad he's gone now.